Hello everyone. I am Alice of KHR Arts and Cloud Orchid Publishing, and today we are going to talk about mine and Bryan's experience at the Timothy Westbrook fashion show at the Pfister Hotel. Before we were Cloud Orchid Publishing, we were Cloud Orchid Magazine. And to put things back even further, before we were Cloud Orchid Magazine, Bryan and I were Little Alice the model and Graffiti Photography, the photographer. I have other videos talking about this origin story and the things that we've created together, but long story short, we both began attending this local photography event that was basically just for a bunch of photographers and models to get together and just have fun, making art, doing random stuff, just having a fun time, no pressure. We just became such good friends doing that together that then we realized we really enjoyed working together. We started doing projects on our own together, and we started doing stuff specifically for magazine submissions, and then we realized, hey, you know what? This isn't very hard, because I'm a writer, and Bryan had a lot of experience with being a layout artist. We can do this ourselves. So we made our own fashion magazine together. And with all the connections that we had made from being photographer and model, we were able to go to all these amazing events and fashion shows and things locally and be able to do all these amazing editorials and articles about them. And one of them that we did was the fashion show at the Pfister Hotel, in that the Pfister Hotel has a tradition where each year they have a different artist in residence. And so it's for that whole year they house the artist, and there's like a special studio in the lobby of the hotel where all the patrons of the hotel can go and watch the artist at work. So it's all your expenses are paid for, you get to be an art goblin and do your thing, but in return people watch what you do. It has to be a performative thing. I couldn't be an artist in residence. It's very boring to watch an author do something. Being an author is the most boring thing for outsiders to watch you do. It's us sitting at the computer screen doing the Cusco face, just that for hours. So fun. Doing art or doing fashion or some other performative thing, that's fun to watch the process. And Timothy Westbrook is a fashion designer, and his big thing is reuse, repurpose, recycle. And he also has a fascination with cassette tapes. Specifically the actual tape itself. He's woven it into a lot of the designs, and he actually showed he had this really cool tool where when you ran it over the tape that was woven into these clothes, it made sound. So things were recorded on the cassette tapes, and then when he did that, you could actually hear sound when you waved this thing over the outfits. It was really cool. With this fashion show, they also debuted that Timothy was also on Project Runway. He was one of the contestants. And so this was a big night. This was so cool. It was just so many things coming together for this amazing fashion designer. And Bryan and I got to be a part of that. Bryan was in, it's called the Pit, which is this area that's assigned at the end of the runway where all of the fashion models stop and pose, and all the photographers click, 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 click. And, then the model turns and goes back down the runway, and I was in the runway audience watching everything, documenting everything, because all the pictures are Bryan and all the writing is me. And so I did all of the interviews and things. And so I did all of the interviews and things with the designers and other people of importance at these different events that we went to. And we put them together in the fashion magazine alongside the runway pictures. And so being able to combine our skills like that is what made our fashion magazine really successful and enabled us to be able to be a part of really cool local fashion events like this. And what also really set us apart from a lot of these indie fashion magazines is the fact that I'm a professional writer. It was clear during this time period that a lot of the indie fashion magazines did not have a professional writer working for them, because a lot of times, if they did any writing at all in these magazines, it was just the typical Q&A sort of interview thing with the photographer or a model or something. They rarely did stuff for fashion designers or makeup artists or other aspects of the industry. And it was literally just question, answer, and it was very obvious that they just copy pasted whatever was in the email they sent and just blah, it's good enough, and just put it into the magazine. And I was like, that's not very interesting to read, though, just this list of question answer, and you don't really it doesn't feel organic. It doesn't feel like you're reading about the shoot that happened or the fashion show that happened or whatever. It just feels stilted. It just feels like it was just put there, which it kind of was. And so it was really important to me doing these interviews that I would do that, where I would send them, a battery of questions, and then they would send me back their answers. And then I would take those answers and take everything that I had observed at the actual event, and I would put together these editorial interviews where it's a cohesive story about the person and their role at the event, so that it reads like you were there. You're getting to know this person, you're getting to know this event that they were a part of, and all of that. And people really loved that about these magazines. And I feel like that's what really helped us to be set apart from the other magazines, because Bryan does a beautiful job of capturing all of these gorgeous designs and all the editorials that we did together. He does an amazing job. But also having that little aspect of me being a writer, I think, is what also just really set us apart, because there's a lot of really great fashion photographers out there. You may ask, well then, why did you stop doing this? And well, first thing is, with how successful they were, they still didn't pay the bills, unfortunately. Bryan and I were not able to make a living doing just this. And it was a ton of time and effort, because it was all the time and effort of going to these events in person, and at the event doing all the behind the scenes stuff, which is very exciting and very cool, but it's also a lot of work, because it's not just, woo, I'm behind the scenes, woo. You have a job. You're there to do a job. It's not just for funsies. You're not there to have fun. You're there to do a job. Bryan is getting all these behind the scenes pictures. He's getting all the runway pictures. I'm behind the scenes getting on the fly interviews in person, as well as the interviews that I'm going to do over email later. I'm taking notes, I'm observing things, I'm asking people questions, I'm getting names to go with who's walking on the runway. Are there other designers involved? All the clothes are by Timothy. Was their jewelry contributed by somebody else? Who are the makeup artists? Who are the hairstylists? All that kind of stuff. So all of that is effort. And then after the fact, Bryan has to then edit all of the photos and decide which ones we're actually going to put in the magazine. I have to take all those notes and take all the on-the-fly interviews I did, take all the stuff that people send me over email, and make that into a cohesive editorial piece. And then we have to make the actual magazine be a magazine. And then I did all of the marketing, where then, I have to post about it everywhere and tell everybody about it and blah, blah, blah. That's a lot of work. That is a lot. It's especially a lot of work when we were going to these events like back to back to back, along with doing photo shoots back to back. I'm doing my own fashion shows and photo shoots. He's doing his own photo shoots and events and things. It was a lot. And after a while, we just moved on artistically. And so then we became Cloud Orchid Publishing, and things evolved from there. But this is really where things started, is with these fashion magazines. And I am still so proud of them. And I am so proud of the incredible adventure it was creating these, and I am so glad that I got to have these amazing fashion experiences. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to give it a like, and if you're new, subscribe. Alright y'all, thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye bye.